Hello and welcome back to Network Information Hiding. We have arrived at chapter 11, which is for now the last chapter. I consider adding additional chapters, but probably in the next winter or summer semester. So this chapter summarizes what we have learned in the previous chapters, but in a non-detailed level. What I explained was that information hiding faces some inconsistency in its experimental methodology and terminology. So patterns are a way to unify the structure of such a taxonomy, to form such a taxonomy with terms that are also unified. So patterns combat both the terminological inconsistency and the broken taxonomy. We render experiments comparable using the unified description method because if we describe hiding methods in a unified way, then we can easily compare them if the descriptions are structured in the same or similar way. We learned that experimental replication studies are important and that they should be honored so that more of them are conducted, and that will lead to the improvement of the foundations of our research discipline. There is a lack of countermeasures when it comes to certain patterns because we know many patterns, but not for all these patterns we know already countermeasures. So we need to find ways that allow us to come up with new countermeasures, and the easiest way to do so is to introduce countermeasure variation, which is the idea, in short, it's the idea of taking an existing countermeasure and modifying it so that it can be applied to other patterns as well. Because countermeasures are usually tailored for just one pattern or just one specific hiding technique. There are some sophisticated hiding techniques, especially adaptive covert channels that use a network environment learning phase, that is one that detects blocked channels and then switches to other channels, for instance, using mechanisms such as protocol hopping channels or pattern hopping. And current countermeasures and traffic normalizers that are static do not perform well. They are almost useless in context of the null phase. So our solution was to introduce dynamic wardens. These combat null in the sense that they limit the channel's capacity quite a lot. And we have also learned that steganography can be realized in the CPS and in the IoT. That's a new option. It can be done for both the network communications in CPS and IoT and also in the devices. So the first approach to bring this in the network communication and in the devices was done, to the best of my knowledge, done by myself and some colleagues in 2012. And since then, however, there was quite some increase in making this better. Also for other domains of CPS than I would focus on. For instance, industrial control systems were covered by other authors and with completely different ideas. So other people generate different ideas, and these ideas are also worth considering and learning and reading the papers. I referenced the papers in the previous talk. What are open research problems? So let's suppose you want to work on a master thesis or even a PhD in network information hiding or steganography in general. What would I consider myself if I want to work in this domain? So in general, sophisticated countermeasures can still be improved. If I find more interesting countermeasures during the years, I will update the slides on GitHub, so you always get a fresh set of an updated version of the slides featuring the new ideas. This is, in general, developing better countermeasures is more challenging than developing just 100 replication of the same hiding technique just applied to a different network protocol. Also, it's more challenging to improve existing hiding techniques and obviously to find new patterns. We already know many hiding methods for several protocols. And there will be more and more new protocols, especially for the IoT or low-range communication or things like that. And such protocols should be analyzed in detail for all the patterns. So you can go through all the patterns and see and analyze whether some of these patterns can be applied to the new protocol. This would allow to come up with countermeasures at an early stage of protocol development. Well, of course, it's a good idea to use the unified description method to describe the covert channels. CPS steganography is still in its infancies and the impact is unclear. I guess there will be quite some research in the coming 10 years. Scientific methodology will only work if applied by many researchers, so I count on you that you apply patterns and unified description method. This would be great. It actually would be awesome. Also, I'm happy if you write me an email if you apply it and it was helpful for you. If you have questions about it, also write me an email. And of course, it would be beneficial to conduct additional replication studies. So thank you for your kind attention. If there are questions, let me know. If you think I should cover some work that I didn't cover in this class so far, then give me a hint and maybe I do a video on this topic in the coming semesters.